new Missouri law lets domestic violence survivors keep their cell phone number and contact separate from their abuser. Good evening, I'm Brittany Pieper.
And I'm Adam Pressler. The law will allow for a cleaner process after the victim leaves a violent situation.
Many times after a survivor leaves a domestic violence situation, he or she is left with burdens, creating a new life. This law is a step forward to make that transition a little easier. The law will allow full orders of protection. That means cell phone providers can transfer the victims' and kids' accounts to a new account, and survivors can keep their numbers. Before, cell phone carriers could not separate family plans, and many abusers would cut off a survivor from their cell phone. The director of the Missouri Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence says this is one example of how to help survivors without victim blaming.
That this is just one more example of little things that we can do to help assist victims and not put victim blaming or different things that help actually to support perpetrators. Whenever we can actually allow people to take control over their own life resources and the things that they need to stay socially connected, it only helps in that transition.
The bill passed the first year it was introduced. The sponsor of the bill, Senator Ryan Selby, says that's pretty rare, but the issue was supported across party lines. Nixon signed the bill into law Monday, and it takes effect in August.
A Columbia man is in custody today after turning himself in for rape. A warrant for second-degree rape was issued for Richard D. Williams at the end of May. In August of last year, a female family member said Williams forced her to have sex with him after he drove the victim and her son home. Williams is currently being held in Boone County Jail on a $100,000 bail.
Here's what's happening right now. Slater police are on the lookout for a man they think might be connected to the double homicides we told you about yesterday. Police are looking for this man, Donald Owens. They're also looking for a car connected to him, a 2007 Dodge Caravan with Missouri plates UD6J3T. Anyone with information on either of these is urged to call the Saline County Sheriff's Department. That number is on your screen here at 660-886-5511. You could also call the Missouri State Highway Patrol or your local law enforcement. Around 2 a.m. yesterday, police were called to a shots-fired incident at the 800 block of Park Place. That's where they found 35-year-old Ryan Sanders, who was later pronounced dead at the hospital. And around 8 a.m., investigators found another body at a home on Nichols Avenue. They identified the woman as 83-year-old Bonnie Charlene Hoop.
A string of car break-ins is sweeping through the area in north of Jefferson City. The Cole County Sheriff's Department reported 12 in just the last 2 weeks. KMUH Stephanie Sierra tells us how the solution of this crime is an easy fix.
It all started a few months ago.
We have individuals going out there searching for vehicles that are unlocked. They're opening the cars up and then they're rifling through the stuff not only inside the interior of the car, but they're also going to the glove compartment and going through the trunk.
For some, this simple mistake turned into a costly one.
There's some people that are leaving like tablets, and they're taking whatever they perceive to be valuable to them.
And now the problem has only gotten worse, with most of the theft activity targeting north of Jefferson City.
We're working on probably close to 20 of these that's happened in the counties.
Even local residents say when you're on the go, it can be easy to forget.
My son is a year old, and when I'm trying to carry him and carry all of our stuff, and I get, 3 or 4 blocks away, and I'm like, oh, did I lock my car? I don't remember.
And even local law enforcement says it can affect how they do their job.
With the limited manpower that we have, while we're spending that 45 minutes to an hour taking the report from someone going through your car, we could be out there working on other cases.
Wheeler says if the trend doesn't stop, the crime will continue.
Just like a bear, if it knows it can get honey in a certain area, it's going to continue to go to that area.
But the good news is the solution is simple.
It's very fixable. Make sure you lock your cars, but not only that, but talk to your neighbors and make sure they lock their vehicles too.
Stephanie Sierra, KMUH News, Jefferson City.
If you see any suspicious activity in your part of town, contact the Cole County Sheriff Department or the Jefferson City Police Department. But in the meantime, make sure to keep those cars locked.
A bridge closing in Columbia might make your drive a little longer due to construction of the new I-70 bridge. The construction will begin Sunday evening at 5. Crews will also build a dual-lane roundabout on the south side of Business Loop 70. Traffic will detour onto the Business Loop ramps. Drivers can take the roundabout onto the Creasy Springs exit. The project director says the new bridge will take about 45 days to complete.
So for all intents and purposes, the ramps will be I-70. So I really want to emphasize that especially for pedestrians. A lot of pedestrians around Columbia, and any folks that plan on going through. It will be closed to any activity.
He added that pedestrians and bus riders can call the Columbia Paratransit line for any help during the closure.
Jefferson City will soon see a major installment coming to several downtown districts. KMUA's Amina Petinich shares the details on what is planned.
The Jefferson City Council recently approved the installment of wayfinding signs. The signs will go up in several districts, including Capitol Avenue, High Street, and McCarty Street. There will be around 60 signs installed in hopes of making it easier for residents and tourists to get around. The signs will feature major shops and restaurants, attractions, and national monuments. I spoke with the Public Works Director, and he said there is one main reason for the installment.
This is really focused on folks that don't know how to get around, maybe new to the community, or maybe they're visiting somebody in the hospital, for example. So I know I need to look for this street, but now here's a kind of an eye-catching sign that helps direct you there.
A grant will pay for a majority of the project, in addition to contributions from local partners and the city's sales tax. The project will cost $210,000 and is expected to be completed by winter of 2016.
Residents of Osage Beach and FEMA have announced that they're working together to change inaccurate flood mapping at the Lake of the Ozarks. Currently, FEMA requires flood insurance for property owners who own homes in flooded map areas. Many residents say that they have never had flooding, yet they have to pay for flood insurance and think that that's unfair. I talked to one resident who says officials need to think about those who are opposed to the change.
To change the rule now after people have made purchases, it can make some things kind of shuffle around that you might not think of. So I think they should be careful about the reactions to this change.
One FEMA official says the plan would target tributaries or branches off the main Lake of the Ozarks. He also said that the new map will be put in place during late 2017. It's going to be a hot one out there, so let's send it over to Alyssa to see how it's looking.
We are still very warm right now. Temperatures are still into the 80s for most of us. I'll have more for you coming up.
Thousands came to honor and remember boxing legend Muhammad Ali. Who spoke at the service and what they said? We'll have those details after the break.
It was a gorgeous day today looking at the time lapse over Rocheport. We also hit into the 90s today, which is the highest temperature of 2016 so far. And that warming trend will continue with us for the rest of the weekend into early next week. Sunday, we will hit up to 94 degrees, but the heat index will be into 97.
We'll be right back. The media company Gawker filed for bankruptcy today, a few weeks after being forced to pay a $140 million judgment in favor of Hulk Hogan. Hogan sued Gawker for invasion of privacy after the site posted a video of him sleeping with someone. Gawker, which also includes blogs like Jezebel and Deadspin, says it's considering putting itself up for auction. One person has been hospitalized after multiple gunshots were fired at Dallas Love Field Airport this afternoon, and it was caught on video. Take a look. This cell phone video shows the chaotic scene outside of a baggage claim area. You could hear it began with those 4 shots fired, and then you can see an officer in a yellow vest pointing a gun. Authorities say the incident started when a man was throwing rocks at a car outside the airport terminal in what looked like some sort of argument with a woman. Dallas Fire Rescue officials say one person was taken to the hospital.
The lawyer for Kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman says that they have filed a legal challenge to fight U.S. extradition. Mexico approved the extradition to the United States last month after receiving guarantees he would not face the death penalty. El Chapo was the world's most wanted drug kingpin until his capture in January, 6 months after he broke out of a high-security penitentiary in central Mexico through a mile-long tunnel buried right up into his cell. Thousands paid their final respects to boxing legend Muhammad Ali today in his hometown of Louisville, Kentucky. He was eulogized by famous entertainers, sports players, and politicians. Matt Lauer has the report.
Thousands lined the streets of Louisville to say a final goodbye to the greatest. His image this morning seen all over the city he loved, which loved him right back.
He is the greatest.
The procession made its way down Muhammad Ali Boulevard, drove by the champ's childhood home, and past the center dedicated to his life's work. A private burial service was followed by the public memorial. where about 20,000 people filled the Louisville Yum Center. Family, friends, and strangers, both young and old, gathered to remember the boxing legend.
When I look into this crowd, I smile. I smile to recognize that he's not really gone. He lives in you, and he lives in me, and he lives in every person that he has touched in every corner of this world.
Ali's wife Lonnie and daughter Miriam both spoke.
As his voice grew softer, his message took on greater meaning.
As you enter your final round, God's last boxing bell will sound in heaven. I love you. We all love you.
The boxing champ turned political activist and humanitarian inspired people everywhere. Bryant Gumbel, Billy Crystal, and former President Bill Clinton delivered eulogies.
It is the choices that Muhammad Ali made that have brought us all here today in honor and love.
Decades ago, Ali nicknamed Crystal Little Brother, and the two remained close friends. We caught up with Crystal right after the service.
The feeling, Matt, of gratitude that we lived in his time, that this epic human being, with all of his heights and all of his lows and his frailties and his failures sometimes, he was a champion of the human spirit.
Muhammad Ali's legacy was celebrated today, not just by the famous faces who spoke,
I want to be a fighter just like him.
but by the millions around the world he inspired, both in and out of the ring.
More sad news from the world of sports. Hockey great Gordie Howe died today at the age of 88. He played pro hockey for 32 years, including 25 seasons with the Detroit Red Wings. The man known as Mr. Hockey was a 23-time All-Star and led the Red Wings to 4 Stanley Cup titles. Sports is next.
Desk, KOMU 8 Sports.
After winning 4 of their last 5 games, the Cardinals have climbed back in the National League Central for a 2-way tie for second place with the Pirates. That's all for sports.
This minion isn't Groove's little sidekick. We'll tell you how Kevin got to be in Indiana after the break. A silo in Northeast Indiana got a special makeover. It is now painted like a minion. I love
Look
this.
at that.
The Stark family worked together for 2 days with 14 gallons of paint to make the silo resemble this not-so-little yellow friend. Now, Kathy Stark says her husband was inspired by the silo's unique shape and perhaps a few adult beverages. That is awesome. Here's a look at what we're following for KOMU 8 News at 10. School is out for the summer, and for most kids, that means fun in the sun.
But for some, it means worrying about when their next meal will come. This is how the state is trying to make sure no kids go hungry tonight at 10.
It is going to be a warm night. The lows tonight are only in the 70s, and we will stay mostly clear tonight as well. Looking at our 8-day forecast, we will be sunny and warm all next week.